At a baby shower, my cousin snickered. I secretly told everyone you lied about who the father is. The room went silent as she smirked. Let's see you explain this one. I took a deep breath and pulled out an envelope. That's interesting, because the DNA test results say otherwise. She stumbled back as I read them aloud. I never thought my own family would turn against me over a lie. I didn't even want a baby shower, but my mom and my aunt insisted. They said it would be good for me. That it would help me feel supported. That it would be a chance to celebrate before everything got real. I should have known better. I should have known that my cousin Marissa would find some way to ruin it. Marissa and I had never been close. We weren't exactly enemies, but she was the kind of person who always wanted to be the center of attention. She thrived on gossip, on drama, on making other people's problems her business. I guess I made a mistake by assuming she'd leave me alone once I got pregnant. At first, everything seemed fine. When I announced my pregnancy, I got the usual mix of congratulations and questions. But then things shifted. People started acting weird around me. My uncle, who had always been supportive, suddenly stopped offering to help. My grandmother, who had spent weeks knitting a baby blanket, suddenly stopped returning my calls. My own mother sat me down and hesitated before saying, "Sweetheart, are you sure Nate is the father?" That one hit me like a gut punch. I asked her where she even got that idea, and she just looked uncomfortable and mumbled something about hearing things. I pushed. She wouldn't say. Then my friend Callie called me, her voice low and urgent. "You need to know what Marissa is saying about you." Apparently, my cousin had been running her mouth for weeks. Telling people that I was lying about who the father was. That Nate dumped me because he found out I cheated. That I was desperate and trying to force him to raise another man's baby. I had never cheated. Nate and I were together for 3 years. Things weren't perfect, but I had never been unfaithful. When I told him I was pregnant, he just shut down. He got cold. Distant. And then he pulled the classic coward move, he ghosted. Blocked my number. Deleted me off social media. Quit his damn job. That was bad enough. But Marissa turned it into something worse. At first, I tried to ignore it. I figured people who really knew me wouldn't believe it. I was wrong. Because the whispers didn't stop. I found out my own grandmother believed it. That my aunt had actually called Nate's mom to check the facts. That people at my mom's church were talking about me. Marissa made sure to spread it everywhere. And that's when I decided, if she wanted to humiliate me, I was going to humiliate her right back. The party was at my aunt's house in Dallas. It was one of those over-the-top baby showers with pastel decorations, balloon arches, and a huge table full of cupcakes with pink and blue frosting. And Marissa? She was eating it up. She walked around like she owned the place. Laughing, whispering to people, looking over at me like I was some kind of joke. I kept my face neutral. I smiled. I let them think I didn't know. But I had a plan. The party went on. People played the stupid games. I opened gifts. I smiled and nodded through small talk while I felt all the eyes on me. And then, right when things were settling down, Marissa made her move. She stood up. Cleared her throat dramatically. And then, in the smuggest voice I have ever heard in my life, she said, "I think we should all acknowledge something before we keep pretending." The room got quiet. My stomach clenched. I could feel my mother tense next to me. I already knew what she was about to do. She turned to me, all fake innocence, and said, "I just think it's interesting that Nate isn't here." Almost like he doesn't think this baby is his. Someone let out a soft gasp. Marissa smiled wider. "Because," she continued, "I may have let it slip that you lied about the father. And now, well, people are wondering." I looked around the room. My grandmother looked away. My aunt shifted uncomfortably. My uncle's mouth was pressed into a tight line. People weren't stopping her. They weren't saying anything. Because they believed her. And that's when I reached into my purse. I took a slow breath. Then I pulled out the white envelope. "That's interesting," I said calmly. Marissa's eyes narrowed. I held it up for the whole room to see. Because I actually got a DNA test done. Dead silence. Marissa's face froze. "And according to this," I continued, sliding out the official document with the bolded percentage at the bottom, "Nate is 99.99% the father of this baby." I didn't yell. I didn't have to. My voice was sharp and clear, and it carried through the entire room. Marissa stumbled back like she had been slapped. I looked directly at my grandmother, at my aunt, at my mother. I don't know what's worse, I said, voice steady. That she made up these disgusting lies, or that all of you actually believed her. Someone muttered, "Oh my God." I let that hang in the air for a second. Then I turned back to Marissa. She looked panicked. Like a cornered animal. She started, but I wasn't done. "Why are you even so obsessed with my pregnancy?" I asked, tilting my head. "Why did you feel the need to spread this? What exactly did you get out of it?" She opened her mouth, then shut it. I watched her face flicker through emotions, anger, frustration, embarrassment. She was losing. And I wasn't even done yet. Because I had one last thing to say. "Or, maybe you were just mad that Nate rejected you." The whole room reacted. Someone actually said, "Wait, what?" Because, yeah. I found out. Marissa had tried to hook up with Nate behind my back a year before. And he had rejected her. And now? She had no way to deny it. Her face went scarlet. And the best part? I could see it in her eyes. She knew I had just ruined her. The moment I said it, the entire room shifted. You know that feeling when you drop a glass and the split second before it hits the ground, everyone freezes? That's what happened. Marissa's face went pale. What are you talking about?" she stammered. She tried to laugh it off, but it was forced. Too fake. Too nervous. I leaned back in my chair, folding my arms, feeling the tension wrap around the room like a noose. "Oh, you know exactly what I'm talking about," I said. I saw it in her eyes. That tiny flicker of fear. Because now? She wasn't just some innocent cousin who accidentally spread a rumor. She was exposed. She looked around, probably expecting anyone, to back her up. But no one said a word. Even her little group of friends was awkwardly quiet. Because they hadn't known. Marissa had been so cocky, so sure of herself, but she hadn't realized I had been digging too. "You know, I didn't believe it at first," I said, tapping the envelope on my knee. "But then I started thinking, why would you care so much? Why would you spread something so disgusting about me? What did you get out of it?" Her jaw clenched. I wasn't, and then it hit me. I cut in, my voice sharp. "It wasn't about me at all, was it? It was about Nate." Marissa flinched. And that's when I knew I was dead on. "You wanted him," I continued, letting it sink in. "You thought that if you could break us up, you'd have a chance." She opened her mouth, then closed it. A beat of silence. And then? My aunt, her own mother, turned to her and said, "Marissa, tell me that's not true." Marissa whipped around, eyes wide. "Mom, of course it's not. She's just trying to, don't lie," my aunt snapped, her voice suddenly sharp. "Not after everything." And that's when I realized, her mom already knew. Maybe not everything. Maybe not the details. But something had happened. And now, everyone was looking at her like they weren't so sure about her anymore. The tension in the room was thick enough to choke on. People were whispering. Muttering. The shame that had been on me for months? It had shifted, all onto her. She was cornered. And I could tell by the way she clenched her fists, she hated it. Then, out of nowhere, she spun toward me. "You think you're so smart, huh?" she hissed, her voice low but furious. I stared her down, not flinching. She leaned in, her face way too close, and whispered, "Fine. You want to know the truth? I did tell people that. I did make them doubt you. And you know what? I don't even regret it." She smiled. Smiled. Like this was some kind of game. "Because at the end of the day," she whispered, too low for anyone else to hear, "Nate still left you, didn't he? Doesn't matter if the test proves he's the father. He still didn't want you." My stomach twisted. For a second, just a second, it stung. Because it was true. Nate had left. He had ghosted me. He had treated me like I was nothing, even though I had been faithful, even though I had done everything right. But that's when I saw it, her real game. She wasn't just trying to ruin my reputation. She wanted to break me. She wanted to see me hurt. She wanted to be the one who got the last word. And that's when something inside me just snapped. I leaned in too. Close enough that only she could hear. "You're right," I whispered. "He did leave me. But at least he never even considered being with you." Her smile dropped. At least I never had to throw myself at a guy who wouldn't touch me with a 10-foot pole. Her face twisted. At least I don't have to lie to make people like me. She stiffened. And then, just loud enough for everyone to hear, I added, and at least I don't have to spend the rest of my life knowing I lost everything because of my own stupidity. Silence. Her breathing was sharp. She stared at me, her hands clenched, her face red. I waited. Waited for her to say something, anything. And then? She did something I never expected. She turned around and walked straight out the door. Just like that. No goodbye. No last words. Nothing. She just left. And for the first time in months, I felt like I could finally breathe. The second Marissa walked out, the room stayed silent. No one moved. No one spoke. The air felt heavy. I looked around. My grandmother wouldn't meet my eyes. My aunt still had that stunned, betrayed look on her face. My mother, who had been so quick to believe the worst about me, looked like she was struggling to process what just happened. And me? I should have felt relieved. I should have been satisfied. But something felt off. This wasn't over. Marissa had been too confident. Too smug. Even when she was cornered, she acted like she still had something up her sleeve. And that's when my aunt, Marissa's own mother, spoke. I need to go after her, she said, her voice tight. But before she could take a step, her phone buzzed. Loud. Insistent. Over and over. She frowned and pulled it out, then suddenly went pale. My stomach dropped. What is it? I asked. She didn't answer. She just stared at the screen like she had seen a ghost. Then, without a word, she turned the phone around so everyone could see. The group chat. The one that had almost every woman in our family in it. A new message. From Marissa. And when I saw what she sent? My blood turned ice cold. It was a screenshot of a text conversation. Between me and Nate. And at first glance, it looked bad. Really bad. Because in the messages, it looked like I admitted the baby wasn't his. I don't know how to tell you this, but it might not be yours. I just don't want to lie to you anymore. The timestamp? 2 weeks before I told him I was pregnant. I felt the room shift. The whispers started up again, hushed, tense. My mother's face drained of color. What the hell is this? Someone muttered. I knew what it looked like. And I also knew it was fake. My heart pounded. This wasn't some petty rumor. This was fabricated evidence. Marissa had faked a conversation to make it look like I had lied about my baby's father. And she sent it to the entire family. I swallowed hard. Think. I took a slow breath and looked up at my aunt. You believe that? I asked, voice even. She hesitated. Just for a second. But it was enough. She wasn't sure. She wanted to believe me, but after months of Marissa's lies? After seeing that screenshot? Doubt was creeping in. So I did the only thing I could do. I pulled out my own phone. Fine, I said. Let's prove it. And then I went straight to my texts. The real ones. I scrolled back to that exact date. Showed the room the actual conversation I had with Nate. It was completely different. And then I did something even better, I clicked on the contact info. Look at this, I said, pointing at my screen. Marissa's screenshot showed the messages coming from an unknown number. Mine? Came from Nate's real contact. With his real number. My mom grabbed my phone. Checked it herself. And that's when the whispers changed. She faked it, someone muttered. Oh my God, Marissa faked it. My grandmother covered her mouth in shock. My aunt looked absolutely horrified. I let the weight of it sink in. Marissa hadn't just spread a rumor. She created fake proof to try and destroy me. And now? She had just been caught. Aunt Linda, Marissa's mom, was already dialing. She pressed the phone to her ear, her face tight with anger. Marissa. Get back here. Right now. I could hear Marissa's voice on the other end, shaky, defensive. Mom, I don't know what. Shut up, her mom snapped. Louder than I had ever heard her. You faked that screenshot, didn't you? A pause. Then Marissa's voice, lower. Panicked. I don't know what you're talking about. Her mom exhaled sharply. Don't lie to me, Marissa. We saw the proof. You faked that whole conversation. Do you have any idea what you've done? Mom, please, no. No more excuses. You have 5 minutes to get back here. Or don't bother coming home. Silence. Then, the call ended. And just like that, I knew. Marissa had lost. I should have felt relieved. But something nagged at me. Why would she take it this far? Why go through the trouble of faking texts, of setting up an entire digital lie, knowing she could be caught? It didn't make sense. Unless, what if she's not working alone? I said suddenly. My mother looked up. What? I felt my stomach churn. Marissa was vindictive. But she wasn't exactly smart. She wasn't good with tech. She barely knew how to edit photos, let alone fake an entire conversation. Someone must have helped her. And then it clicked. There was only one person who had a reason to back her up. Nate. Just as the realization hit, my phone vibrated in my lap. A new message. From an unknown number. Thought you could win, huh? You're not even close to done. See you soon. My blood ran cold. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. My mother frowned. What is it? I didn't answer. Because I knew, without a doubt, this wasn't over. Not even close. The second I read the message, I knew. This wasn't just Marissa's doing. Nate was involved. My hands clenched around my phone, my breath coming out shaky and uneven. The words on the screen stared back at me like a warning. Thought you could win, huh? You're not even close to done. See you soon. A shiver ran down my spine. My mother was still looking at me, waiting for an explanation. Around me, the rest of the family was still reeling from the last revelation, that Marissa had faked the text messages. I could hear my aunt whispering furiously to my uncle. My grandmother kept muttering, I can't believe this. I just can't believe this. But I wasn't paying attention to any of it. Because I had bigger problems now. Less than 5 minutes after the message, the front door slammed open. Every single head in the room turned. And there, standing in the doorway, was Marissa. And she wasn't alone. Nate was with her. My stomach twisted. He looked exactly the same as the last time I saw him, messy dark hair, that fake charming smirk he always used when he was trying to manipulate people. But this time? I saw him for exactly what he was. A coward. A liar. Someone who would rather destroy my reputation than admit he was a piece of garbage. A thick silence hung in the air. Marissa crossed her arms, standing tall like she was about to give some big speech. I'm not letting you do this to me, she said. I didn't say anything. Because honestly, I was just waiting to see what she would try next. And then Nate stepped forward. We need to talk, he said. Like we were old friends. I let out a short, humorless laugh. Oh, now you want to talk? I said, tilting my head. What changed? You finally decided to crawl out of whatever hole you were hiding in? His jaw tightened. I don't want to fight, he said smoothly, like he was trying to stay calm. I just think you need to hear us out. Us? I repeated, raising an eyebrow. You mean you and Marissa? She smirked. That's right, she said, tilting her chin up. Because we both know you're not telling the whole truth. And then? She dropped the final bomb. You're lying about how you got pregnant. The room went dead silent. I saw my mother tense beside me. My aunt looked like she was about to pass out. And me? I just felt tired. What the hell are you talking about? I asked. Nate took a deep breath, like he was preparing for some big dramatic moment. You knew I didn't want a baby, he said. We had conversations about it. I told you I wasn't ready. I clenched my jaw. And? He exhaled sharply. And then, 2 weeks later, you suddenly tell me you're pregnant. After everything we talked about. After I told you I wasn't sure. I could see it happening. The way he was twisting the story. I could already hear the wheels turning in everyone's heads. You're trying to say I did this on purpose, I said flatly. He nodded once. Yeah. I think you planned this. I let out a slow breath. And then I turned to Marissa. And what do you get out of this? I asked. She grinned. Just the satisfaction of knowing the truth is finally out. I laughed. Actually laughed. Because this was desperate. They had already been caught in one lie. So now, they were trying another one. You're pathetic, I said, shaking my head. Both of you. But then, Nate pushed further. I don't even know if this kid is mine, he said loudly. And if I was smart, I'd demand another test. And that's when I lost it. You want another test? I snapped. I took 2 steps forward, standing directly in front of him. You really think I planned this? You think I wanted to raise a baby alone? You think I wanted to deal with all of this? I gestured to the entire room of people who doubted me, because I thought it would be fun. Nate backed up. For the first time, he looked nervous. No, shut up, I said. You don't get to talk. You don't get to act like some victim. You left me. You abandoned me. You didn't even have the decency to say it to my face, you just blocked me and ran. He swallowed hard. And as for you, I turned to Marissa, my voice shaking with rage. You had the entire family turn against me. You spread rumors. You faked evidence. And for what? Some pathetic crush on a guy who never wanted you? Her eyes widened. Because I wasn't supposed to say that out loud. I turned back to the room, my family, my so-called support system. And all of you? You let it happen. You let her drag my name through the dirt. You never even asked me if it was true. You just believed her. I saw guilt flash across their faces. My grandmother looked away. My uncle had the decency to look ashamed. And my mother? She looked broken. Like she realized, all at once, just how badly she had failed me. I'm done, I said finally. I don't need any of you. And I sure as hell don't need your support if this is what it looks like. Then? I turned my back on all of them. And I walked away. My mother tried to apologize a week later. She said she didn't know what to believe and that she was so sorry. I told her, you should have believed me in the first place. My grandmother sent me the finished baby blanket. I never responded. My aunt kicked Marissa out of the house. No one has seen her since. And Nate? He tried to reach out after the baby was born. Said he wanted to make things right. I blocked him. I moved on. I had my baby. I built a life. And when I look back on that day, I realize it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because I learned exactly who was in my corner. And I never wasted time on fake family again.